The string of deaths began 6 days ago, all of them here in the Chicago area. Wednesday morning in Elk Grove Village, 12-year-old Mary Kellerman woke up with a cold. Her father gave her Tylenol. Within minutes, she had collapsed. 20 minutes later, at 7 a.m., she was admitted to a hospital with no vital signs. About noon in Arlington Heights, 27-year-old Adam Janis complained of mild chest pains. He reached for a bottle of extra-strength Tylenol. Like Mary Kellerman, he collapsed within minutes. At about the same time in Elmhurst, 31-year-old Mary McFarland told co-workers she had a headache. The mother of 2 died within minutes. Tylenol capsules were later found in her purse. Doctors had no reason yet to connect the case to the deaths of Mary Kellerman or Adam Janis. There was an obvious connection to the next 2 deaths. Adam Janis's brother and sister-in-law returned Wednesday afternoon to Adam's home here in Arlington Heights. Distraught over his death and possibly suffering headaches, they reached for the bottle of Tylenol still on the kitchen table. Within minutes, both collapsed. At first, investigators thought the Janis home was contaminated, and they ordered a quarantine. But then fireman Rich Keyworth of Elk Grove Village, where Mary Kellerman died, talked to firemen in neighboring Arlington Heights who were trying to figure out the Janis case.
Charlie said that they were looking for something possibly ingested. It might have been food, salt, pepper, drugs, Tylenol. And Phil says, wait a minute. He says, Rich was just saying that the girl in Elk Grove had taken Tylenol just before she went down. Mm-hmm. Charlie says, maybe we've got a connection. So Lieutenant Kramer called Arlington Heights Northwest Community Hospital and said that the girl in Elk Grove had just taken Tylenol. Do they know anything about what the Janis fellows had ingested? And they looked at the report and said they'd also taken Tylenol.
In both cases, the victims had taken Tylenol capsules that had been contaminated with cyanide. By Thursday morning, the maker of Tylenol had announced a recall. But the recall came too late for a young mother in Winfield. At her suburban home, Mary Reiner took a poisoned Tylenol for a headache. She was pronounced dead in the same hospital where she had given birth to her 4th child less than a week earlier. And in Chicago, a flight attendant for United Airlines returned to her apartment Wednesday evening after a tiring 3-day trip and took a Tylenol. The body of Paula Prince was not found until Friday.
It's our belief right now in our investigation that this is the work of a madman or a group of crazy people or venal people who simply removed the capsules in a very amateurish sense, took the Tylenol substance out and put cyanide in and replaced the capsule.
Cyanide-contained Tylenol has been responsible for 3 deaths in the Arlington Heights area. Do not take any Tylenol until further notice.
By today, toxicology labs around the country have processed over 1 million Tylenol capsules taken from stores and homes. Most were untainted, except for 1 bottle of cyanide poison tablets that had been on a shelf in this drugstore.
I wouldn't buy any, I won't buy any capsule. I'll just buy tablets from now on, because it's really scary.
It scares you. It really does. It makes you feel like not taking anything at all.
I'm afraid that if some nuts going around, that they'll change for tubufferin or Tanacin and put it in another product. So I wouldn't buy anything but a tablet.
Meanwhile, psychiatrists have come up with what they guess may be a psychological profile of the killer.
This man has no contact at all with his victims. That's very unusual. Even an at-random killer has some contact with his victims. Even a person who places a bomb on a plane has some general idea of who he's going to hurt. But this man had no idea. It was a gamble. It was a case of Russian roulette. So I assume from that he is a shy person. He doesn't have good contact with people because his crime is so impersonal.
At this point, there's no way of knowing if the cyanide poisonings in Illinois in any way are related to the latest poisoning cases in California. Be that as it may, the makers of Tylenol, Johnson & Johnson, have decided to redesign the Tylenol package to make it safer. And people in the drug industry feel that may be necessary for all over-the-counter drugs.
Obviously, we're going to have to start looking at things like better seals on bottles so that people know that it has not been opened at the time they purchase it. Probably shrunk-wrap plastic strips or some other device to assure the consumer that they are buying a pure product.
Janis' family buried its dead today, with 3 victims all under 30. Stanley and Teresa had been married in June. Adam leaves a wife and 2 young children.
It's ridiculous. This is just another example of how sick our society can get. I mean, why? And what's the reason? If it's an individual, you know, why couldn't he take it out his aggressions out differently or whatever he had grievances with? I mean, why does he have to pick on for my family.
This is a crime where the killer didn't know his victims. It could have been any of us who happened into a drugstore, who had a headache, who took a Tylenol. And that's what makes this story so terrifying. I'm Max Robinson for Nightline in Chicago.